Hey everybody, welcome back. Tonight we're back out here in the garage and we're touching more on the mechanical side of motorcycling today. Uh, this is going to be a multi-part video series. As you can see, I have my 2023 Harley Davidson Pan America up here on the lift, and we're going to start working our way through the 5,000 mile service. Now I'm going to break this down into several parts. This video is going to be the oil change and lubricating the Jiffy stand, side stand, and the center stand. So the Jiffy stand and side stand are the same thing. And then I'm also going to show you how to check the air cleaner and clean, lube, and adjust the chain. And real quick, we're going to go through some of the other things that are part of the 5,000 mile service on one of these motorcycles. First things first though, you're definitely going to want your motorcycle owner's manual. On page 205 in the back of the manual is where the service tables start. Those service tables will show you what you need to be doing at every service interval. So whether you're checking, cleaning, adjusting, lubricating, or changing. And then it's all the different maintenance points of the bike. Now for the 5,000 mile service, we are changing the oil and filter. We're going to be adjusting, or we should be adjusting, the clutch system and the drive chain. Now I can tell you on this bike, the clutch still feels good. It still feels the same as it did when the bike was new. So I'm not going to make any adjustments to it. If it's not broken, don't fix it. So the things that we need to check and inspect is all of our electrical equipment and switches, front and rear tire pressure and tread depth, which you should be doing that every time you ride. Front and rear wheel spoke tightness, I'll show you how to check that, but you should also be doing that every time you ride. Your brake fluid levels, front and rear, there again, we'll go through that. You should be checking it every time you ride. Like I said, I will show you how to check the air cleaner, checking your coolant, making sure your radiators and oil coolers are clean, checking over your brake system, so inspecting your brake system, inspecting fuel lines and fittings, inspecting your brake pads and discs. You're checking those for, make sure you have plenty of pad life left, there's no abnormal wear. And then of course checking over your drive chain, sprockets, and guide to make sure there's no abnormal wear. Your chain guides are still in good shape and your sprockets look good. And then you also need to be checking over your exhaust system, make sure all your fasteners on your heat shields are tight. Make sure the exhaust system has not started to come loose. And then we will be lubricating our Jiffy stand, our center stand, and our brake and clutch controls. So, like I said, I'm going to do this as a multi-part series, and I'm going to break it down into separate videos. That way, depending on what you're needing to do, you can just find that video and watch that video. You don't have to scroll through one big long video to find the important points that you're looking for. So just check out the channel. They're going to be coming out one at a time, and then I will put them all together in one playlist, so you can just go through that playlist and find the video that you need, and reference back to it later if you need to. That's fine. Just make sure though, if you don't have a copy of your motorcycle owner's manual, make sure you get one, because this has everything from torque specs to specifications for chain tension, the exact way to change your oil, how to refill the oil, because there is a specific procedure for refilling the oil that is outlined in the owner's manual. Those are all things that you're going to want to have, and I'm not going to be able to necessarily give you every bit of information or go over completely in depth. So make sure you get a copy of that. If you didn't get one with your bike, contact your dealer and have them get one for you. All right, so like I said, service tables are on page 205. Your oil change information starts on page 140. So if you need the information for changing your oil, you're going to find that on page 140. Your clutch system is on page 158. It does not tell you how to adjust the clutch on these. I do not want to get into that with you guys, because if you're not familiar with how to adjust a cable clutch, then you're better off taking that to your dealer, because if you do not properly adjust your cable clutch, or you accidentally make a mistake while you're adjusting it, that can cost the life of your clutch. That can cause your clutch to wear out prematurely. That is not something that I personally want to be responsible for. So if you do not know how to properly adjust a cable clutch system, take it to your dealership, have them adjust it. But it does outline the basics. Your drive chain is, information starts on page 148 in your manual. This is a 23 manual, so that could be a little different. So I appreciate you watching, guys. We're going to dive right into this, get this lift up, get the oil changed. Bike's already warmed up, so we're good to go. We're going to get all that old oil out, get the new oil in. We'll go from there. So don't forget, when it's all over with, do me a favor. Please rate the video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Okay, so in order to do the oil change, we're over here on the left side of the motorcycle. And you can see right down here, tip my finger is right down there. It's going to be kind of hard to spot, maybe a little light. It'll show up better. There you go. That is your oil drain plug. So we need to remove that and we'll get the oil draining. Once we get that removed, we need to take a T40 Torx. We're going to take out the Torx bolt, this one, and then there's down here, get you down here, there's two there, and there's two at the rear of the skid plate, and then there's going to be one more in this same position on the right side of the bike. We need to take all those out so we get the skid plate off, because your oil filter is right here. So we need to drop the skid plate in order to get the oil filter off, and that'll help keep us from making a big old mess on the inside of the skid plate. So we're going to get the oil draining first, then we'll get the skid plate down, and we'll swap out our oil filter. Okay. Your oil plug is a 1/2 inch. There we go. And these drain plugs are magnetic, so this is always a good time to inspect the tip of your drain plug for debris. And there's a little bit here, but as you can see, it's not bad. And considering this bike just has 5,000 miles on it, the engine's breaking in, it's not uncommon to see a little bit stuck to the drain plug. Now, there's no ring right here on the drain plug. You're going to want to discard that, replace it with a new one. While that oil drains out, we're going to go ahead and remove our skid plate. Alright, go to the other side and get the other one. Okay, now we've got the skid plate is off. We're going to let that oil finish draining. That way we don't make a mess when we get the drain plug in, because I'm going to have to slide. Well, maybe I can get, I'm going to get it back far enough to get the Jiffy stand up. Because we're going to have to slide the drain pan. We're going to have to slide the drain pan up underneath the oil filter so we don't make a huge mess when we pull it off. So I'll bring you back once we can get that drain plug back in. Alright, so the oil got done draining. I went ahead and replaced the drain plug, torqued the drain plug to 15 foot-pounds. So tight, but not that tight. Now we're going to go ahead and take our oil filter off. I thought I had a cap wrench for these filters, but I don't. The one that I had does not fit the Pan Am filter. So we can use a strap wrench, just very carefully. Break it loose, slide our pan back over to catch the dribbles, and go ahead and spin her off. Just don't pull it straight out. It's nice and easy, does it? There we go. There's the filter. The Harley Davidson Sin Blend 1550, which is what is spec'd out for this bike. You can use the Sin 3 2050. It's a little heavier, and I might run, it is allowable, I might run the 2050 during the summer when it's hotter outside. And even though this is a liquid cooled bike, you don't have to worry about your oil temps as much. You're gonna need 4 quarts of that and an oil filter. And unfortunately, my oil filter does not have a part number on it because Harley Davidson has not gotten oil filters out to the dealerships yet that are not in the like the dealer service pack. So they had to break open one of the dealer service packs for the oil filter, and I don't happen to have the receipt to give you the part number. So get that out of my way. We're going to go ahead and thread the new filter on. Just snug. We don't want to go super tight with it. Now we'll clean up our mess. That way we can put the skid plate back on here in just a second. Put a carb cleaner, don't want to get that on the paint, but it'll take the oil off the aluminum. There we go. That'll get that nice and clean. Now while we're down here, we're going to go ahead and, we've already got that under there. I'm going to go ahead and lube the Jiffy stand. Now what I prefer to use is actually Buc-ee's. This is a dry graphite lubricant, but it goes on liquid and penetrates, and then it dries off. So you can spray it on the pivot points, and it'll leave a nice dry lubricant behind, but it's not going to be a liquid where it's going to stick and it's going to tack up dust, which is especially important on a bike like this that you can take off-road as well. So I still have a little bit of oil seeping out from behind that filter. There we go. Get that drain pan out of the way. And we'll recycle that. We've got the oil out of the way. We can make sure that moves nice and freely. All right. And then we'll also check our center stand while we're down here, since that is the other thing that we need to lubricate. And same thing, just get right in. And that's easy enough to clean up. Get right around the pivots on the springs. Man, I gotta watch that stuff. It splatters everywhere. Just get it right around those pivots. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just make sure everything moves nice and freely. That's all we're looking for. Just keep it nice and smooth. Then you can just, it's easy enough just to wipe the excess up. The graphite just comes right up with the chop rag. Okay, we've got those lubed. Now, pull our dipstick. And if you notice, Harley Davidson was nice enough. They give you an upright full and a side stand full marks. Now, we're going to add 3 quarts of oil. Put that down in there. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on there? Well, I don't know what happened there, but 3 quarts has definitely got it full. Good Lord. Alright, so let's get the plug back in. We'll fire it up, let the oil pressure come up, clean up that mess, because 3 quarts did not fit with the bike straight up and down. Again, on the side stand, it really made a mess. One more rag here. Okay, let's fire this puppy up. Always wait for the dash to boot. Yes, I'm still in neutral. Oil lights out. Everything's on the dash, the mileage. All right. Okay, now let's pull our dipstick and check our oil, because that should have filled the oil filter up. And since we are straight up and down, we will use the center stand mark. Thread the plug in. And check. Okay, so we are just on the tip of the dipstick now. There we go. All right. Now, it is just barely on the tip of the dipstick, so I am going to add what's left in this quart for sure. And I am going to go ahead and top it off with. They want you doing this on the center stand or on the side stand. There we go. That's another half. Puts me in 3.5 quarts in. Oil capacity is supposed to be 4. Just a little over 4 on a completely dry fill. 4 on an oil change. So I want to make sure I'm fairly close, because the last thing I want to do is run this thing low on oil. Now we are reading just below the upright full mark, which will leave a little bit of room for thermal expansion as the bike warms up. So once I get it warmed up, I will double check it, top it off as necessary. But I'm now just under the full mark. I'm a lot more comfortable with that. We'll go ahead and get the skid plate reinstalled, get these nice and tight. Couple drops of blue Loctite on these. It's not always that's not a bad idea, just to make sure they don't vibrate out. So in this video, guys, I've already shown you how to change your engine oil and filter. We went through and lubed our center stand and our side stand, or our Jiffy stand and our Jiffy stand and our center stand. Now you always need to be checking your bike over. You should always be doing pre-ride inspections, and I'm going to show you why.
Apparently on my last trip, right down here, there's a chunk missing on that tire. Something caught it, knocked a chunk out of that tire. That being, had it been rolled around up higher, the tire hasn't lost any air pressure, but it did take a nick out of that sidewall, so we're going to definitely have to get that checked out. Maybe go ahead and get a hold of them and have them order a new tire for me. That way, rather be safe than sorry. It's not leaking, and it doesn't look like it went down into the cords, but I don't want to risk it. So, stick with us. Stay tuned for part 2, and we're going to keep walking through the 5,000 mile service on this. Chain cleaning and adjustment, air filter, just all the other things that we need to do on a 5,000 mile service. So thanks for watching, guys. We will see you on part 2.